What was Shannon like as a little girl? Has she always been like this?
Oh God, no. Not at all. No, as a child, she was perfect.
Like how old?
Like
are you crying
little.
already? Are you getting ready
I
to cry?
probably will.
She hasn't even started yet and she's ready to fall around. What was Heather like growing up?
Totally different. I can remember trying to get her ready for school. She would come down with, before polka dots and stripes were popular, and she'd come down with polka dot pants, stripes. No, you can't wear that. So we'd just argue. No, I hate that. No, I hate that. But we just were kind of embarrassed when we'd go out because she'd have polka dots and stripes on. Back then, she was even determined.
On today's episode, we have a special treat for y'all. We happen to be in a location that both of our moms are here. How much fun is that? So we're going to be talking about anything and everything imaginable about Shannon and I as kids and how difficult we were to grow up, how difficult it was to raise us. And hopefully that can be inspiring for some of you who have kids that you might be having a little bit of a hard time with right now. So I'm curious, what was Shannon like as a little girl? Has she always been like this?
Oh God, no. Not at all. No, as a child, she was perfect.
Like how old?
Like
are you crying
little.
already? Are you getting ready
I
to cry?
probably will.
She hasn't even started yet and she's ready to fall around.
I'm thinking about our conversation on the boat the other night.
Oh yeah, we could talk about that later.
Anyway, so you were perfect. She
How
was a
old?
perfect little girl till about 15, I guess. 15, all hell broke loose. I don't know what happened. Well, I actually do. We were going through a divorce, and her stepmom was not very good to Channon. Things just went south. I actually had to ship her away to Colorado to a lockup because I was scared she was going to kill herself or somebody else. And look at her now.
That's so far.
Yeah.
Yes.
Awesome.
She's been through hell and back.
Yeah. So what about Heather? What was Heather like growing up?
Totally different. I can remember trying to get her ready for school. And she'd come down.
This is no different than now. I got up 15 minutes before we were supposed to be here this morning.
No, I got something else to tell. She would come down with, before polka dots and stripes were popular, and she'd come down with polka dot pants, stripes. No, you can't wear that. So we'd just argue. No, I hate that. No, I hate that. And my mom said, just agree with her, and that cuts that argument off. And then, so sure enough, I said, okay, that looks great. But we just were kind of embarrassed when we'd go out because she'd have polka dots and stripes on.
I was just ahead of the trend.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
She was determined.
Back then, she was even determined. Yes. Yes.
I can remember my grandmother would tell us, Heather, you would argue with a fence post.
Yes, she would. She would.
And so how did your relationship develop after that? Because clearly you and Channon are super close now. She talks about it all the time. We see you in her stories. She stays at your house sometimes when she's traveling. How did that relationship change? Because I know for a lot of us as moms, we're always worried that when you have kids that aren't out of the house yet, that relationship with their adults isn't going to be, we aren't going to be close like we want to be. How did that relationship change for y'all?
I think once she straightened up, she had a lot of guilt about how she had treated me, even though I'm pretty strong and I was a single mom through all of this, working in the operating room where we didn't have cell phones, we had pagers. So even just trying to get the state and her teachers and her counselor hooked up to ship her away to get straightened out. I have no clue today how I managed that.
You drugged me.
Well, no, I know how I got you
managed
there.
to be.
I mean, all the calls that it took and the
yeah,
faxing, and I mean, it was a big deal. I don't know how I actually did it, but I did. And then she just always felt kind of bad and would, hug me and say, I'm so sorry, because at that time I don't feel like she really knew what she was doing and how she was treating me and how it affected me and her sister. And so to this day, she just always, I love you, I love you, I love you, I want to be with you, I want to go everywhere with you. Both of my daughters are actually like that. So
Yeah.
I'm very happy that that's the relationship we have, because I have a lot of friends, and even the kids' friends, who don't want anything to do with their parents.
Oh, yeah.
But, if they could go everywhere I went, they would, right?
Yeah.
Well, I think when I was getting remarried this time, I can remember thinking, I already have 3 kids, and I'm through that baby phase. Starting over will really be tough. But I feel like when you don't have your own kids yet, you don't appreciate your parents as much.
yeah.
When you start having your own kids, you love your parents on a different level because you see how much they love you and what they went through raising you. So I think Shannon, now that she's a mom, probably can look back at you and feel a lot different than she did. Because as a teenager, you don't know that.
No.
Right.
You don't know how you're making your mom feel,
Yeah.
and you have all these hormones and all these emotions. And I think when you become a mom yourself, you learn to love in so many different
definitely.
ways. And to relate that back to talking about my husband, that was what made me want to be willing to have more kids for him, because I didn't think it was fair to take that away from him, to not be able to have some of his own kids.
Because he didn't have any.
Yes. Now he's got a house full.
And now he might say,
Did he say stop now?
No, he wants more. I'm like, I am too old, y'all. I'm going to be 40 next month. But I can remember you having a pager. And
Yes.
we would just page the heck out of you.
yes, I was.
We're like a year apart, right? So
I'm
it's,
38.
I'm 39.
Yeah.
I'll be 40 this year.
I'm 62.
I'm going to be 65.
Okay, so we're like the same
Yeah.
time
Yeah.
frame with like
Yeah. So I
pagers.
I was in sales always, and we would go out to see a customer. First off, you didn't have GPS or any of that.
Oh, God,
so you had
no.
to map the night before your customers to know where to go on the map. And then if
Did you use the book? I
the
could
book,
never figure out the book, the map book. I forget
atlas.
the name.
the atlas.
That her
How do
dad
you
used
know?
all the time.
Well, the atlas.
She made me sit in the passenger seat
and I
map
made them both
everything out.
learn how to read the. Her
I
and her
never
brother.
figured out how to do that.
Yeah.
So when you talk about going places, I would have to say you make a right at the light and a left at the stop sign.
Oh,
That's
we
literally
do
how
that
we did
too.
it.
By the big oak tree, you go and take a left.
You guys will never know.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is a step further, because this is once they had computers, and mom would put it in. You could use like a software or MapQuest, and you could put all your stops in, so she would figure out where she was going
For the next day. But still, we would have to stop and call the office like 4 times a day on the payphone to find out if we'd had any calls from our customers, and then go take care of them. But yeah, then I had a pager. They would page me and have to go to the payphone to call them, because there wasn't a cell. You didn't have a cell phone.
And
So
half
I
the
was-
payphones didn't work.
I was grounded all the time, like permanently. Were you grounded all the time?
I was running away
No,
from home.
I had
they didn't
no
have a
control.
chance to ground me.
Oh my
I
gosh.
wasn't there to be grounded.
I was grounded, and I was grounded from the phone. So I wasn't supposed to be answering the phone, but mom was the one that called, and I answered the phone. But then I started fighting with my brother. My brother and I fought so bad. Did you and your sister fight?
Oh, she hated me. My sister hated me.
Is she younger?
Yeah.
But then I started hitting him in the head with the phone.
Oh
But I was
yes.
on the phone with you.
Yes, they were so in trouble. And I can remember when I was a kid, my daddy told me, enough fighting. Whoever wins the fight's the one's going to get the whooping. And so we didn't want the whooping.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. Yeah, it was not good.
Man.
No, Shannon was, one time she took my car.
Oh, yeah.
She didn't even know how to drive.
Oh.
She took the car. I had to call the cops to try to find her. Yeah, no. I mean,
Oh, one time.
that's a whole nother story.
Oh, let me tell you this story. One time, my husband and I were laying in bed, we're asleep, phone rings, it's the cops. Do you know where your daughter is? Yeah, she's upstairs, upstairs in the bed. No, she's at the sand pit. There was a curfew in the town for like 9 o'clock at night. It was early. But her and a bunch of other kids were playing down at the sand pit.
What's
Okay,
a sand
that
pit?
is not the actual story.
That's how I remember it.
I had a job, and I got off. So if you weren't 18, you couldn't be out after like 11 o'clock.
You had snuck out.
Sherry, that is a different story.
Okay, well, I got two. We have two stories
It was
going.
I started college at 16, so I was in college before I was 18, which meant that the like curfew in my head didn't apply to me, which obviously it still did. But I had a job, and so I was driving home from work. The sand pit was like where they had pulled me over, was next to the sand pit, and you had to come get me, and I had a $500 ticket for being out after curfew.
Wow.
Not that I didn't sneak out, because I snuck out plenty of times. And then I rang the doorbell on accident coming in the house.
That's funny. That's a good one.
Yes. I've snuck out plenty of times.
The
but
fun
that's a
we
different
had.
story.
So growing up, I think like for other people watching that maybe have kids that are, you know, maybe causing trouble, or you might think like, you're not sure about the path that they're going to be on, and you're worried about them when they're older. Hopefully they'll see our story and see that, you know, we were not the best kids, but then we grow up to be okay. And
What would you say to those moms?
Say lots of prayers, literally. Cover them in the blood of God, of Jesus. And know that He's taking care of them. And know that there's always hope. Don't give up. Do not give up, because there is always hope.
What about you?
Definitely stand by them. Don't give up. I
Right.
never gave up on her, but I do know I have friends who are like, I just can't do it anymore. And then you never know what's going to happen, but you have to try your hardest and do everything you can to try to help. And I did, and it worked. So yeah, just never give up. And look, she's changed. I can't even believe it. To this day, she's the most positive person that I know. I wish I could be more like her. So I love you.
Oh, I love you too.
And I'm very proud of you.
Oh,
There's
thank
also
you.
a balance between stand by them and then like enabling them, because we can look at some
Yeah.
parents and think that's not what you're supposed to be doing. And not that we clearly don't know all of it, but I can remember different therapies that we went through in boundaries, because I had a brother who had some trouble. I have a brother who had some trouble, and I can remember the therapies that we would go through and the boundaries that have to be set in place to have the difference in support versus enabling. And is a book called Boundaries? that
There is
y'all
a
read?
Boundaries, yep.
There's a book called Boundaries that was really good for that.
Is there anything that you guys both noticed growing up with having Heather and I as kids?
I don't think Heather was as nearly
No, but
as
I
bad
mean,
as
like,
you.
I'm talking about like, yeah, we know. But I mean, like, success traits that you saw in us as kids that you see have given us like these qualities that we have now. So for instance, I'll give you an example. Snow, my daughter, or no, let's talk about Storm. Storm, my son, will not take no for an answer.
No.
He is like, he will say over and over and over until he gets what he wants, and it drives me crazy
Kind
as
of
a
determined
mom.
like you.
Yes, but I know that's going to be such a good quality.
So same with Heather. That
Okay.
arguing of the polka dot and stripe.
Right.
Yeah, now, when she knows how to, you know, push back, get what she needs, and get her way.
Well, I noticed that with my kids, and so I keep saying in my head, if I can survive their childhood, they're going to make really great entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I noticed too that story about your mom telling you like don't wear that, but you post on your story with your kids, you let them wear what they want
Yes.
now. And does that contribute to when you were little and your mom telling you like don't wear it? Because my mom dressed me the last 2 days. I'm still having this problem.
I don't think so, because my mother and I literally buy each other clothes now and share stuff from each other's closets. And
Yeah, it's kind of an open closet. Just
clearly
get
when
what
I'm
you
not
want.
pregnant,
Yeah.
I have a totally different figure, so Mom cannot wear my clothes currently. But I don't think so. I think that is more from people. I was picked on so bad in school.
What?
Yeah, super bad.
About what?
She was picked
Everything.
on so bad, that's when we did homeschool for a little while. Remember?
Yeah.
It was
Wow.
awful.
Wait, tell
And
me
this was a
about
Christian school too. We sent her to. And should I tell the story?
Yes,
I don't know
please
what story
do tell
you're
the
telling.
story.
The Kotex.
Tell the
Oh, I don't
Kotex
care.
story. We want to hear it.
Okay.
Oh, I know what you're talking about.
Okay.
I was in middle school.
Yes, and so, you know, all the kids had lockers in the hallway, and these girls that were super mean, you know how mean girls can be. They were picking on Heather, and they put ketchup on a Kotex and put it on the inside of her locker.
She's talking about like pads and tampons. Yeah.
Yeah, on a
They would
pad,
decorate the
and they
locker.
had all these people.
Because in middle school, stuff like that's embarrassing.
Right.
Yeah, and so they had all these people to come watch for her to go open her locker. But we found out about it somehow ahead of time, and I went into the school and talked to the principal and went there, and all these kids that were around. Do you remember that?
Yes, I remember
That's
that.
horrible.
Of course, I remember that. But I think all of that stuff teaches you the perseverance and the learning to not care about, because you kind of go two ways, right? You can wallow in it and be miserable forever and think everybody hates you and whatever it is, because Shannon gets it now online. She knows
yeah, I know.
terribly.
She's getting better about it, though.
Yeah, and or you can choose to learn that I am not for everyone and everyone's not for me. I had to learn this lesson after I got divorced. I never imagined being, I think I was 33, I'd have to do the math. When I got divorced, I didn't imagine being divorced and a single mom with 3 kids.
Right.
And I love the idea of marriage. I love the companionship of that. So when I started dating, the divorce with having a husband who had an affair left me pretty insecure. And the process of, y'all, I probably went on 200 dates. Shannon and I have talked about this before. But the process of that helped me learn I'm not for everyone and everyone's not for me. I don't need to feel rejected by some of these people. I'm not rejecting them. It's not like I knew them for a long time and they changed their mind. It's literally like it's okay if you like blonde guys and I like brunette guys. Like, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
People have preferences, and just learning to be comfortable with yourself and who you are, I think living that, like
It
being
shapes
picked on.
you.
Yeah, it shapes.
It does.
You go one of two ways.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you get out into the world and you meet somebody who says boo, and you're like, ah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Where-
that's one thing that I'm struggling with the homeschool thing, because I am so protective of my kids, and I would freak out if anybody did something awful like that. I'm like, you gotta hold me back. I'm gonna go back to jail.
Well, you already freaked out when she was in the art class and you went in and...
Yes, I did. I've tried putting her like in art classes and things that I thought, and I walked in and she was sitting alone at the table and no one was sitting with her, and it just like
Having
broke my
lunch.
heart. Yeah.
Okay,
And like,
so I want to tell you something that the preacher told us a couple weeks
Okay.
ago. They said that when you bail people out of those situations, you rob them of becoming who they're meant to be. And oftentimes we are going to be given big blessings or big miracles. There can even be some of the things that you're praying for that you are not the person yet that you need to be to receive that blessing or receive that miracle. So if you don't go through the struggles of what it takes to become the person you need to be to receive those, you can't have them. And so us as moms, if we bail our kids out of every bad situation, we rob them of what they're going to become as adults, because they don't get those skills they need. And so it's hard to sit back and watch, because I even see that with them picking on each other.
like your kids picking on each other?
Yeah. Yes, they pick on each other bad. I can't believe they're sitting over here next to us like little angels. They pick on each other bad. So that's something that I always remember when we're talking about that is, and it's one thing is somebody's beating the crap out of them, right?
Yeah.
But another, if they're just kind of picking on them or kind of not being nice. Like, I feel like our kids have to learn. Think about what you're going through now, again, with the social media stuff.
Yeah.
Like, if you hadn't experienced any of that in the past, how much harder it would be.
Yeah.
It gets you, I think, so you're compassionate for someone who's going through it. Like, I grew up very, very poor. So now when I see someone who's very, very poor, I'm very compassionate. I'm not like, you know,
Right.
I want to wrap my arms around them and help them.
Yeah.
So it, I think it molds you and makes you who you need to be.
I think so.
And I want to thank you a ton because, well, now I'm going to cry.
It's okay, let it out. Let it out.
Because Shannon does her social media, and you think she's so outgoing, right? She's not at all. She doesn't have really very many friends because
I don't
she
have
gets
any. You're my only friend.
because she gets in a relationship with them. They find out about her past, and then they don't want anything to do with her. She joined your mastermind, found you online, and now she's coming out of her shell. She's up here speaking at your...
I'm so scared to do, but it's like such a.
She's still scared
blessing.
to do it,
Yeah.
but I said, Shan, nobody would know that you're nervous up here at all, right?
Yeah, we wouldn't know other than you tell us.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so she's finally like making tons of friends.
Because
Everybody.
of you.
Yeah, because of you.
Well, it's no different. I didn't. You're making me cry because my mama was also my only friend. I didn't have girlfriends until I literally had to create a business, meaning create a mastermind, and as much as some people don't like to think of that as a business, y'all, this event that we have going on right now was so much work for my whole team. It is legitimately a business. You have to have a budget, and you have to have all these systems and processes in place to make everything work. And I did not have girlfriends until we created this group, and everybody started coming together. And I think it's because there's people like you and I who are forward facing for the group, that it attracts people who are more genuine and down to earth than the kind of mean girls groups that you might get when you go into some
Oh
other
yeah, the women
environments.
here, every single one that I've met, and I've met a lot because they're all coming up to Shannon, are amazing.
Yeah. Everyone says like what a good job you
You
do
do.
of like bringing together just like very successful, motivated, driven, like-minded people, but they're all so humble and willing to help and just so kind. And you don't see that often. Everyone's scared because we're so used to women that are mean and that have treated us poorly in the past, or we feel like scared or judged. But it's just, you get here and you realize like, wow, one of the questions that they asked at the table today was like, what are you most excited about being here today? And I was just like, making friends, because everyone's so nice here. And it's like the one place like I actually feel accepted and like loved. I don't have to be scared to like, even talking about going to church, I'm like, are they gonna let me in? Are they gonna find out about my past and then kick me out? I don't know, I'm scared to go. I'm just gonna stay in the mastermind Bible study where I'm safe and I can stay in my house. But yeah, it's really so amazing what you've created, and I think we owe it to like our parents that helped shape and raise us and all the experiences that we've had.
I agree. Well, thank you to our mothers for being here today to talk to us for a couple minutes and share some stuff about us growing up as kids. Hopefully it encourages y'all, if you're struggling with raising kids or you've got some daughters that are a little bit tough, that the grass is greener on the other side and that there is hope. So
Yes.
make sure you like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.
Bye.